Oh my gosh, I don't know if this is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. I actually do know. And what I have to say about it is, let me turn my heater down because sometimes it gets cold, you know. Just the energies that I felt around me, my knowledge of, like, say, the Epstein files and the Epstein crew and the organized crime that really does exist in Los Angeles and Hollywood, and how unfortunate it is that I happen to have fallen into the hands of these predators. How unfortunate for them that I am of sound mind and body, which is the reason they continue to try to discredit me and make me look crazy. But imagine this. Imagine a crime ring so bold and so strong that they have connections and ties to very powerful people. People in places where money is no object, similar to Jeffrey Epstein. When you come into contact, okay, let's just take some of the places I've worked at, my work history. I'm gonna tell you because it's available on LinkedIn. You can search it. It's public record. If I start, let's start with my first law firm, because I think I should do like I need other, because I don't know if I'm going to continue to apply for jobs at law firms because of what I know now. But I do think that along the way, the connections in my life, I've started researching eugenics. The connections that I've made in my life to the harassment, hazing, anything that has made me emotional or uncomfortable or caused a breakdown or a meltdown as far as my life is concerned, right? Because any reasonable person should be able to make it through until they're 40 years old without having significant mental breakdowns consistently. They have been doing this to try to force a mental health record on me. But my mental health is so strong, I know better than... I've attempted to seek help one time and they misguided me, which is why I will not attempt to seek help again unless I'm provided a doctor that I can trust from the get-go. But what it has done, they tried to force ADHD medicine on me. And I understand I have symptoms of it. I believe that I can control it naturally because I don't agree so much with everything that comes out of Big Pharma. I think that if I decrease my sugar intake, my brain will be able to focus better so that I don't have to use a pharmaceutical to enhance something that I should have naturally. So, because there is nothing documented as far as my mental health being wrong with me. In fact, I have I think it was a CAT scan or an MRI that says that my brain scan is unremarkable, meaning there's nothing to remark about, meaning I'm perfectly fine. So all of these things that I tell you, they're not made up. That it's possible that there are some, like back in the beginning when I was reacting out of fear and it was fight or flight, my mind was making certain scenarios up. Even to this day, based off of the repetitive brainwashing, my mind is more likely to come up with stories that could possibly be untrue. But given the facts and information I've discovered about the historics of eugenics, right? And as I put these things together, because Earth's energy, the universe right now, is telling me there is hatred somewhere. I had originally tied it back to white supremacy because I had found the skull and crossbones symbols when I was roller skating for the Los Angeles Derby Dolls. And for people who do not know, I skated long enough to make it onto a team. I was a team skater. In the eyes of sports in Los Angeles, I would be considered a professional roller derby player. But I was only able to attend the first bout as a professional skater, because after that I decided to take issue with being a black female wearing symbols that I could find in the ADL's Handbook on Hate. So that is where I believe the very angry crew that has been harassing me decided to place me into this revenge system. I don't know how smart they knew I was. They didn't know me very well because I tend to keep to myself unless you want to start talking about special interests. So as far as the information people know about me, anything you find on my social media, you could say whatever. I will share anything. I'm an honest person. I have no reason to hide, which is another reason this has not worked, I don't think, in the way that they intended, because they wanted to use the information that they thought was secret about me as kind of like a blackmail or a way to make me stop talking. You can say whatever you want about me, because if anybody out there gives a shit and does not care to ask me for the truth themselves, it doesn't matter what they think about me. Which brings me back to the eugenics thing, right? So, me not caring about other people's opinions about me causes me to act maybe a little bit strange in public. The court of public opinion has a lot to do with eugenics because society believes that you should act a certain way. But what I have to say about that is a lot of the people in society who want to control how you act are doing things that they don't want other people to know about, which is where we get the involvement of the secret societies. So when I bring up secret society, the reason I have no knowledge of what is going on with me or what is happening or that this is even going on in Los Angeles is because my mouth is so big I could never be part of a secret society. The reason all of Los Angeles knows about me and I don't is because all of Los Angeles has joined this secret society. I live in Hollywood. It may not be all of Los Angeles, but a good amount of the lower income people in Hollywood are playing this. And in order to control like the whole thing, the people putting some of the information in or the people running the things that are able to ruin people's lives, there are employers who are involved in this. There are people in places of high power. There are attorneys involved in this who know the law and can tell you how to navigate through some of the things that the AI system is telling people to do. Because God knows there is no one in the world who has enough time to do this to thousands of people, but a supercomputer can. So when I say that, I think it should be a little bit more believable that Celeste's murder and the LAPD's involvement in silencing the medical examiner has the potential to be related back to this society that was also related to Jeffrey Epstein. So when we go there, when I bring up human trafficking, the likelihood that I am being human trafficked becomes that much more real because of how close we are to the Hollywood elite. And I am a bit closer to the Hollywood elite just based off of the profession and field that I work in, the people that I work for. Not saying that the people I currently work for are involved, but if I start to list the places I worked at previously, you can start to see who the connections are, and I can name connections that go from one place to another place, which is something I find strange because there are so many law firms in Los Angeles, yet every connection that I can make almost certainly comes back to my sister. So when I think about secret society and reasons like my sister would have wanted to do this to me, I don't really know much about my sister or crimes that she's committed aside from things that I don't think are morally correct. And when I say that, I am referencing the treatment of her children. I do not feel comfortable around her boyfriend because I have been in a situation where I have woken up, kind of come to, been made aware at a time when his hands were on my ass. So I don't know if I had actually been drugged at this point. Before, I thought I was just like not really aware of the situation or out of it or possibly drunk, but I still thought I remembered everything that happened. But as I think back to it now, there may be a possibility that it wasn't just my ass being felt. It's a possibility that my pants were being pulled back up. And if that's the case, everything that I'm saying makes a lot more sense. There is a night in my life that I cannot remember, and that was one of them. There's another night that I cannot remember, and the person that I was involved with then has a father who's an attorney. So this all connects back to entertainment industry and attorneys. My harassment is done by people who are in high places at law firms, or in the entertainment industry. And I don't know my sister's connection to them aside from her connection to gangs. So that brings us all full circle. I was watching a video about a whistleblower who came out against ChatGPT, saying that they didn't think some of the things they were doing were ethical or moral, something like that was illegal. And he ended up dead. So I know that it's very possible for any minute to be my last minute alive. There are people who, I have a plethora of videos on my YouTube. Some of them are private still because I don't intend to release them. The other ones are not private because I want you to see how creepy these people are. They don't scare me per se. It's just, it's sickening to think that people have minds that make them think that their actions or activities are necessary. Either their financial situation is so bad that they end up waiting outside of my door for an hour so they can get a paycheck, or they're that sick in the head that they think staring at me, my door, not even at me, but staring at my door that has several cameras on it, is going to do something to make me fear for my life. I live in Hollywood. I walk at nighttime. I used to walk at nighttime even more when I had a dog. I do not fear for my life. Your life can be taken in the daytime in Beverly Hills. So trying to instill fear in someone is the stupidest thing I've ever heard of. And it's actually a projection of you because you think that that's possible. So as I see people continue, like, I'll talk about this tonight, and I'm almost certain tomorrow there's going to be some weirdo, whether it's in the hallway of my building or directly in front of my door, doing this same type of, we're going to scare the shit out of her shit. I may not even make it to work tomorrow because of these things. So another thing I want to bring this back to before I end this is eugenics, all right? Let's talk about Nick Reiner. Let's talk about Nick Reiner and this little secret society program of drug dealers and credit card scammers, okay? Because I have a video on my Instagram. I've mentioned it before. I was taken around May 20th of last year, 2025. So if you go through my Instagram and you scroll back and you can look at the dates of the comments or whatever, around May 20th, 21st, 2025, I posted a video of a man who looked very much like Nick Reiner, very much resembles him. I was able to find a profile picture, put them side to side, and I am fairly certain, not 100%, like 99.9% certain that it's him. I would be 100% if his ears were not covered by the gigantic headphones that he had on, but they were, so that allows for a little bit of anonymity, you know what I'm trying to say. So, going back to it being about eugenics and the stuff that I had discovered about eugenics, thinking that we are feeble-minded people, or people with a feeble-minded syndrome, or whatever you want to call it, should not be allowed to reproduce or procreate. Think about that. Think about Hollywood, and this kid had a drug problem, and people who have drug problems, if let's say there is this really big dark evil network that is coordinating to control Hollywood, right? If they know that this kid is a drug addict with millionaire parents, it doesn't take much planning, collusion, to eliminate him. And even if he has to split it with 3 people, I think that they have enough people working behind the scenes to eliminate his share, and they take over. I think their estate was worth like 200 million, something like that. So whatever that split, I think they had 3 kids, 200 million between 3 kids, if he is eligible for it still, since he's not going to be convicted of murder. I have to actually pay attention to that case. It's been a minute since I looked at it, but a lot of the crime in Hollywood has to do with money being stolen, whether it be credit cards or people's wills and trusts. And like the Hackman, right? Think about the age of the kids, what their relationship with their parents are like. When I think back to the story about, I think the guy's Altman, the ChatGPT guy, They said his sister claims that she was raped by him, but the parents helped him kind of cover it up or whatever, just made them stop talking about it. If you think back to eugenics or the secret societies that the Masons are involved with, and they talk about satanic ritual abuse, you would maybe understand or believe his sister a little bit more. So I don't know if the Reiners were Masons, the Altmans, because we're talking about different things now. I don't know if the Altmans have relationships or ties to that. But if it were found to be that they did, the satanic ritual abuse, or maybe it was not satanic ritual abuse, the sexual abuse that his sister claims she suffered, is a lot more believable. So if this guy Altman's sister was molested by him at the age of 13, if that is, I believe victims. I don't think that people want to make up traumas just to get people in trouble. Like, that's a very bad, I don't know, you really, even with everything that's happened with my brother, I've called the cops, I've had him pulled off of a bus. I still love him, I still want the best for him. I just know I personally cannot be around him because he's lost his mind. Even still, I wish him the best, so I would not, I don't know. There's a very strange dynamic there. I think that people with power and money and the networks that they are part of, the associations that they have the ability to murder people and get away with it. They have the ability to rape their sisters and brush it under the rug. It's the same. If her claims are what make me believe that this is all part of the same thing. This all ties back to Epstein. Everything that's happening to me, that happened to Celeste, that happened to the Reiners, that happened even to the Hackmans, has secret society written all over it. And I don't know. I do know I'm stupid to keep talking about this, and I do know I do not care if they murder me. I know they could make things look like accidents, but I think that they are getting a little bit out of hand. And if they don't murder me, I have a lot of clues that can be used to start closing some of these cases, because these people should not be still searching for who killed these people. It's taking LAPD too long to figure it out. And like some of the, this is for money. Do you know how many LAPD have followed me around trying to make me be weird about like my phone and my phone being on airplane or having it in the thing? It's when I take my phone. Okay, so example, I was at 7-Eleven, real life example, and there's a security guard there. I've been here so long. The security guard was not there before. I don't know when he appeared, but within the last year or so. I don't know how much crime has increased. It doesn't look like it has to me, but boom, all of a sudden there's this random ass security guard at the 7-Eleven by me who also is a fan of the broom with the dustpan. It's a bucket dustpan. It's not just a regular dustpan. I don't know if they all just went out and got the same one or what it is. But anyways, this security guard has the same creepy pedo vibes as all of these people playing around with me. And the reason people would want to keep things a secret, or the reason they would want to eliminate people, is if their livelihood is at stake. So if I am as intelligent, as empathetic, as intuitive, as knowing as I think that I am, these people are doing everything they possibly can to discredit me, because what I'm saying will lead to their arrest. It will lead to their demise. What I'm saying is true. I no longer feel crazy. I no longer feel upset when I see these people. I no longer have to have my phone on airplane mode. Please go ahead, cause traffic, follow me, look at me, stare at me. Or don't, because the more you do it, the more I regain my sanity, the closer you guys get to jail. It hasn't gotten violent yet. And that's why I guess I'm not asking for violence. I'm saying violence would be proof that this is real. So we are still in the period where they are trying to discredit me and send me to a mental institution. The reason I cannot use names anymore is because there is a real possibility of lawsuits or their threats being true. The reason I have to continue to post is because the more I do research, the more I find on YouTube that helps me believe myself even more. Names that keep recurring. And I know we're not supposed to talk about them, but how can I not talk about someone who is this close to taking my life? I've asked previously, I want to see the whites of the eyes of my murderers, because that's the only way I'll believe it. And now I'm starting to believe that these people I see every day in the hallway at my building, those are my murderers, right? They're outside joking. One of the guys that just moved in with a puppy, kind of looks like a service dog puppy, is outside joking. I don't know if he watched my YouTube videos, but it's weird to have a neighbor talk about Marovengical or whatever Mavericinal, whatever I was saying the other day that ties it back to like the tortures of back in the day, right? Bloodlines and stuff. Marovenginal, something like that. He just kept saying it. But he waited until I got inside and closed the door. They must really think that door is soundproof, or they're waiting for me to react. But I do know that people get cocky, and cockiness is what gets people caught. So watching the girl have a meltdown the other day and not understanding why. If you're not doing anything, what is all this activity? Why do you pretend to be friendly, and then as soon as the door shuts, you're having a mental breakdown and you're cursing me out and everything about me is bad? But you are so quick to offer to open the door for me. You don't understand how silly that looks. Not only to me, but as I recount it and explain it, it makes you look more criminal. It makes everyone you associate with look like a criminal. It is for certain making you look like you are a stalker, because the times that I leave at every day, I was late for work today. How is it that, oh no, it was last night. It was last night when I got home. I don't plan things. I never make a plan as to when I'm going to be in the hallway, yet I always see your ass. So either you're always in the hallway and you're not, because when I'm at home, sometimes I'll leave my door open and you're not out there. But just so conveniently, when I walk out of my apartment, it's not one, it's not two, it's like the whole floor. It's the whole floor. Well, sometimes, even like right now when I get home, I'm going to count and see how many of the residents of the building I live in are out there, and then how many people I suspect of being stalkers. And as I count these numbers and talk about it on YouTube, my lips are so dry. I want to say, for entertainment purposes only, because it is so anonymous that you don't know who is who, but it is designed in a way for the people to let you know that they are part of the network based off of small things that they do, whether it be a keyword, a hand gesture, an item that they're carrying, an action that they're doing, for example, sweeping. So I know how big your network is, and you're nasty. And so whatever you have to say about me means nothing, because you are who you're trying to make me sound like. And I understand it's a court of public opinion, and I don't need to continue to come on here and defend myself. But I feel like you're delusional. You're delusional because you think that I'm feeble-minded. And that is where my research on eugenics comes in, because I had no clue. I've been living my life so clueless. You guys really are smarter than me if you know all of this stuff. But you guys are taking historical criminal profiles and trying to apply them in today's society with technology. You will never get away with it. The technology we have today is designed to put every single one of you in jail. And you guys are trying to use it to put innocent people in jail. Um, all that says to me is that the people who are in power, who are supposed to use their positions of power to protect people, are protecting criminals. They're protecting the wrong people. This is what the New World Order is. The New World Order is getting rid of anybody who has morals or ethics, right? Eugenists are able, they think they're able, right? Because even Goddard admitted that he messed up and he doesn't believe what he initially thought. So eugenists, the new modern day neo-eugenists, however you want to put it, that believe in like race purification or separatism, that type of thing, there are so many of them. But what they are the product of baby touchers. These are kids who were abused and have not healed. The people doing this, the only reason they have any knowledge of it is because they are victims themselves. I was not a victim, which is why I had no clue, which is why they were able to get me into the position that they were able to. It's not something I ever wanted to study. This is horrible. This is a nasty, torturous history of America, but it's not the history. It's still going on today. It's not only in Hollywood. The reason I stay here, right, is because one, it's going to cost me money to move. Two, I do not have a stable job. So if I move, my apartment is the most stable thing in my life. I've been there over a decade. I had my job for 6 years. I was pretty stable up until I got wrongfully terminated from Louis Brisbois. A reason I say wrongfully terminated was because I went on to work at a tier 1 law firm and I increased their productivity there. But the lady there, I don't know if she's part of a religious group or something, but I believe she had access to whatever record it is of mine that's following me around. And she constantly insisted that I knew nothing. She was trying to gaslight me into believing that I was incapable of performing. But what had happened while I was there is because in order to fire me or make me look bad, they had to improve the performance of the people I worked with. So if you look at performance numbers and statistics from prior to when I worked at Cox, Castle, and Nicholson, their billing turnaround time was 2 to 5 days slower before I worked there. I don't know what it's like now. I don't know if they were able to keep up the pace. But when I was worked there, I decreased the turnaround time at least 2 to 5 days, depending on the attorney, amount of work, what month it was, whatever. I had made quite a few small mistakes because they were engineering the mistakes, I'll say. Which is why when I filed my complaint, I included people from the IT department because I was definitely harassed while I was there. I can speak on it because I went to HR about it. After going to HR about and this is something I also went to the labor commissioner about because I was paid incorrectly up until my final paycheck. They had tried to, I cannot say what they tried to do. I can only say what actually happened. And what actually happened was the lady who ran payroll took a short-term disability or something, right? So she had to turn payroll over to, it was like the manager of the department. The manager of the department should be able to do that, handle it with ease, right? She didn't ask people for help, not to my knowledge. But when I look back, because I kept a very nice tracking spreadsheet of my time, while the first lady was there, my paychecks were paid out correctly. If the overtime hours or any missed or sick time was not paid on the check that it should have, it was immediately paid out on the following check. And you can tell because I kept a running total of the hours paid versus hours worked. After the lady who wanted to destroy my employment record took over, they overpaid me. They overpaid me by almost I think a total of 17 hours that they had to adjust slowly as the weeks went on. So there are times where it's 3 hours up and then it's 3 hours down, but that evens out. And then it's 7 hours overpayment, and I had brought that to the firm's attention, at least to her attention, and she tried to brush it off as it being payment for a holiday. But that paycheck had already accounted for the holiday on a separate line. So I had been paid an additional 7 hours or so on that paycheck. The paycheck after it was like another 3 hours. So at the time, I think it was like a week or 2 weeks or something before they terminated me, my check was 10 hours up, which means my final paycheck was going to be 10 hours less than what it should have been. This was done, I believe, in order to make me not be able to pay rent. Because what has been told to me this entire time is that they're going to get some big reward if they force me to move out. So I don't know if it's the people at the firm who are conspiring against me, how many of them are part of this criminal network, if it's just like an app that some of the employees downloaded on their phone, if the firm has nothing to do with it. I really have no clue, but I can tell you exactly who it is that conspired with who based off of my treatment. And maybe there's a possibility that people just think I'm some big asshole, which is why I keep to myself. I don't discuss my personal life at work unless it's like I brought my Legos to work and you want to start talking about that, or you see a picture of my cat. I don't talk about the things that I like to do aside from roller skating. I really don't say much unless somebody asks a question of me that requires me to go into detail. I try to keep things to simple answers. Most of the stuff that happens at work for me is about work. I'm very serious about my career. I dislike making mistakes. When I make them, I can accept responsibility for them. I'm the first one I will tell on myself if I make a mistake, which is why getting, again, wrongfully terminated from another firm, which I do not care to go after, because the work environment there was enough to let me know that they got what they deserve. It seems like places that are fancier because they lack something in other departments. So they will give you all the bells and whistles to make you comfortable, but personalities are lacking or performance is lacking. I can say, even if I have experienced, maybe it's just PTSD, right? Memories of my time at Cox Castle. If I've experienced things that remind me of there, I can say where I'm at right now as far as record keeping. The records are correct to the best of my knowledge. The accounting is done as I believe accounting should be done. GAAP rules, right? Things are done correctly, and I cannot speak on my current experience. What I can say about my current experience is there may be times where I am triggered or reminded of PTSD that happened while I was at Lewis Brisbois or Cox Castle, but it is not the same feeling. I do still feel as if I am being provoked, but more so by people outside of my apartment building or going in and out of my place of work. So I cannot say I feel uncomfortable where I'm at. I'm there to do a job, and I'm doing the job that I signed up for. Actually, not even the job I signed up for. I'm doing more than what I signed up for, but I don't mind. I like getting paid, so that's that. All I can say is, of the last few firms I've worked at, the people where I'm at now are the smartest. They keep to themselves, the most polite, least showy, maybe happiest of the people I've worked with. So let's pretend that everything I said about gang stalking is not real. And that was just, I'm not saying that it's what it is, because I refuse to let that go. But hypothetically, let's say that my brain had a malfunction, and I saw everybody as a threat. There are things that cannot be my mind doing it to me. So I'm going to go through some of my journals and things and pick out like hard facts hard things that I can say were people gaslighting me at work versus my mind playing tricks on me. Things like the reason why I had to go to HR at Cox Castle was because one day one of their IT members with a name that starts with a J, who has a tattoo of California on his neck, started talking about Mexican gangs as if to keyword me while I was at work. And I think it was around the time where someone had stolen $30,000 through a wire, and they had mentioned my name. So someone, while I was at that firm, had intercepted an email between the client and the attorney, John Trott, and told the client that I had provided wire instructions, which was impossible because I did not have them. I did not have access to them. I had never provided them before. So it would have been impossible for me to even know what instructions to send without first asking the lady who continuously tried to tell me I knew nothing. So knowing that I'm on pins and needles with her, there is zero chance that I would have sent wire instructions to the client. Also, with that being said, how does a client release, what accounting department? Who is your accountant? How do you release $30,000 into an unverified bank account? The name did not even match our law firm. I'm not saying, I felt completely bad for it because they had just used my name. They took the opportunity of harassing me to put, they're trying to make it look like I'm a criminal. And what I have to say about that is my juvenile record is why they're doing that. Adding to that, I was a ward of the state of California. Adding to that, secret society. Adding to that, people need pawns for their crimes. This is a long game. These people have probably made millions of dollars expecting me to be their fall guy. So what I have to say is I do not have any kind of relationships with people at Lewis Brisbois, Cox Castle, or even the place I'm at now. I do not have personal relationships, knowledge of, or any desire to be friends with any of these people. Just yesterday, when I was at the beach, I ran into someone from Lewis Brisbois. Set up, not a setup. I've seen him in other places. He's recognizable because his hair is long. And I was the person who approached him. So whether it's a setup or not, that was just a chance meeting. And that can be taken, though, right? If somebody were to be following me or investigating me, and he's part of their crime ring, they can use that to sound like, or make it look like we are friends. I just found out that guy's name is Gabriel yesterday. And supposedly he has no recollection of me. I don't know if that's true or not. But we definitely got into a conversation about eugenists, my experience while I was at Lewis Brisbois, some of the people who played a hand in me getting terminated from there, like Teresa Hart, who previously denied me a job at Paul Hastings. I can't call people eugenists, but being denied a job 2 times by the same person, or denied a job once and then fired on another time, I don't know if there's like a personal vendetta or a dislike. If you look at the places I've worked at and the amount of time I've worked there, I find it hard to believe that I'm incompetent, because you will not last a year in an accounting department at a law firm if you're incompetent. If you cannot make 1 and 1 make 2, you're going to get fired immediately. If you cannot remember the coding, if you cannot alphabetize, if you cannot do your job correctly, you will not last a month at a law firm. My journals clearly show, like the first 3 months, I have voicemails too. I've called the recruiter saying, I don't think anybody here likes me. Well, and she said, why would you think that? And there's just a whole number of people involved in this. And the more that the lady at the building harasses me, the less I react and respond to her, the more research I do, the closer I get to closing this out. So if this ever, it's crazy to say this because it is getting that close to them killing me, and I'm not like paranoid. I'm going to keep talking. I don't mind. But it is getting that close. So I may have to end every video with, if this is the last video that you see, please look for me, because I don't, as of this date, January 20th, the day after Martin Luther King Day, which was a holiday that I was told I may not be getting paid for, but I'm going to check on that because I think the other employees got paid, and it would be unfair to have me work so hard but not pay me. But who knows? Anyway, there's so much going on that I feel the need to at least update weekly. So if more than a week goes by where I am not posting a video, I would like for all of the internet crime sleuths to start researching. For people out there who have access to private investigators or private investigator profiles even, or whatever you can get to, whatever you need, I am saying to you right now, there are private videos on my YouTube that will reveal more information about the people who are stalking me. So I don't know who gets access to those. If it's the cops, it's never going to get solved. But I have more faith in internet crime sleuths because people are that nosy. And I don't mind you being nosy. That's why I share all my shit. So please, I'm asking, if I go more than a week without posting, start messaging me. And if I don't respond, something happened to me that I did not do. I also want to add to that, because I say this every day. Tomorrow is promised to nobody. You can die in the daylight in a safe place just as easy as you can die at night in a dark place. Accidents do happen. So with that being said, I do my best to be responsible and take care of myself to make sure that I make it home every day. If there is an accident, I think that should still be investigated as well. I don't know how, I think it's very crazy, the whole Nick Reiner thing, how quickly they cremated the bodies and just got rid of them. And what that says to me is they had a will or some kind of thing set up that told them exactly what to do with their bodies when they die. And that was followed to the T. But maybe too quickly for an investigation, because cremating bodies is the best way to destroy evidence. If they were buried, the bodies could be exhumed and then they could be examined. But because of the fact that they were cremated so quickly, you lost any evidence you would have to see what exactly happened. I think Dr. Drew hit the nail with the hammer on the head when he said that it was related to meth. It was most likely a meth crime, specifically based off of the areas where he was, the way he looked, and the fact that I think I saw him in May doing the same gang stalker type activities as the people around me, which indicates that he was needing money and using that app or that system or that network to get it quickly so he could possibly fund his drug habit. Also, I find it interesting that he was diagnosed as a schizophrenic recently, because what my harassment is done, and it's been proven and it's been talked about by other victims online, the V2K technology is a U.S. government patent. V2K is the ability to target an individual's hearing so that only they can hear certain messages that are going into their ears. V2K allows this type of harassment to mimic a mental illness. So if he is already in the network, say he's been to prison or rehab, he's in the system, they know about him. I don't know when he's had a surgery, if he's had a surgery, maybe when they diagnosed him as schizophrenic, he had a surgery where they had to put him under, or some kind of dental work done. Because I do think that my experience with V2K has something to do with when I had to go in for surgery because I was out. I was unaware of what was happening to my body 2 different times. Also, the dentist when I had braces, my second time, braces as an adult. I paid $5,000 for my teeth to look like this. Isn't that crazy? In total, my mouth probably I've put $40,000 on my mom and then me. It's like $40,000 worth of work in my mouth. You would never be able to tell, would you? But with that being said, when I had braces, I was picking up, similar to how Lucille Ball did back in the day, radio stations. Like I could listen to it. Sounded like music or a broadcast. It was not, when I had braces at the time, I was hearing the voices or the music or whatever it was, the sounds. I don't think that they were clear enough for me to determine what they were. I do believe it sounded like music or a radio station. And I do remember it getting so annoying that I could not wait for my braces to come off. As soon as my braces came off, I have not had that that radio transmission feeling since. V2K is different. V2K is actual voices, and it sounds like people are in a control room or a lab. It sounds like I am being experimented on, is how V2K feels. The voices that I was hearing when it was coming through, like the radio waves from my braces, it was like a radio station literally in my ears. It's 2 different things. V2K is external. When I had the braces, it was internal. And that's the best way I could describe it. Knowing the difference. V2K sounds a lot like someone is in the room with you. The radio waves, that's like you can open your mouth and it gets louder, is how it feels like. It's not as creepy. The radio waves from the braces was more of a natural thing, and I think I was actually picking up air waves. V2K is a targeted sound that no one else can hear with very specific messages. They're 2 different hearings, 2 different feelings. I have not experienced the braces radio frequency since the braces, but V2K started definitely after my last surgery. So as I start to put these things together, back to eugenics. So I had a fibroid. My fibroid's like 11 centimeters. Do you know how big that is? It's about the size of a softball. Thinking about eugenics, Starbucks. I don't know how much, and this is just me talking now. I'm not making claims of anybody doing things, but I am thinking about patterns I recognize. My fibroid developed over the course of at least 10 years. By the time I went in to go have it ultrasounded, I did so because my stomach, I was not getting skinnier. I cannot get any skinnier than however skinny my stomach. It always looks like I had a pregnancy. It looked like first trimester pregnancy to me. So I went in and I had a doctor look at it, and we did an ultrasound, and it was a fibroid, a very large fibroid. They gave me options for like removing my uterus and all kinds of stuff. There are natural ways to heal it, and that's one of the reasons I've reduced my sugar intake. In the event that I am not considered a feeble-minded person anymore, and I'm able to find someone who's not crazily involved in this satanic business that I wanted to make a child with. But as it stands right now, I have a hard enough time caring for myself. I do believe that I am slightly feeble-minded, but I don't think that it makes me, I don't think that I want to add kids to this world, at least by myself. If I were to have a partner, they would have to be of a higher functioning level than me. And that is where I do understand eugenics a little bit. But I understand it enough to know that I should not be putting babies out in this world. So I don't think that makes me feeble-minded. I think that makes me smart. Because when I look at the people who have kids who do not have an IQ level the same as my IQ level, I just wonder how they're doing it. I wonder how they're doing it, because children are expensive. Were they planned? Did you plan that? And you're struggling? Wow. My idea for me and kids is not to struggle, because that does nothing for you or the kid. It does nothing for our society. I think as a parent, right? Like, my brother is a felon. My mom should feel awful for not making her kid able to be a productive member of society. Is that a bad thing for me to say? I don't know. I really have to say that, because I would not be happy if my kid ended up that way. I would blame myself, and maybe she does. So what, as far as eugenics goes, feeble-mindedness is supposedly genetic, which is why I feel like these crazy people in Hollywood, elites or whatever, there's connections all over. My brother has connections to drug lords, let's say that. Drug dealers of the high kind. And so if we're connecting the feeble-minded children that my mother had, that include my felon brother and my scandally sister, they are certain that I'm a scandal, but I'm not. That disproves their eugenics theory completely, which it already was disproved by the man who created it himself. I think that I am being tested to see if my IQ has dropped enough for them to make my quirks look like mental illness. My quirks are not mental illness. My quirks are a response to repetitive harassment for decades, which is why I'm no longer reacting to the lady in the hallway with the vacuum, because she has made it very clear that she's one of these people, which is why people walk by me and they're like laughing, because they know about it, because they are the pedophiles. They are the ones who are touching their babies. Seeing me sit here and talk about this makes them feel uncomfortable, and the only response that they can have, they cannot simply just walk by and not say anything. Their face is doing so much work to try to stay normal. The only reaction that they can have when they see me or hear me is to giggle, because they think, I don't think it's funny. First of all, when I see people start giggling for no reason, especially when they have kids, I automatically know those kids are in danger. Because if you know about me, I've profiled you as a pedophile, and here you are with kids. That's gross. It is a society of baby touchers. It's sadistic. If you add up all the people I've blamed for this, right? I've blamed, that's what they wanted me to do. They wanted me to blame everybody, but that is exactly who's involved. It's a little bit of everybody. It is all of the dark world, all of human. Think about human trafficking. Think about the people who would benefit from human trafficking, the people of Jeffrey Epstein's crew, right? So combine human trafficking and eugenics. If you can direct dumb people to have sex with dumb people, you have made a plethora of trafficking slave babies, right? So if you control people, oh my gosh, this is a topic, we have to go into this for hours, and I think I've touched on it in other videos briefly, but I'm going to make an outline so that I can clearly cover this for hours, so that people can understand where my intelligence level is at. So if you combine some of these things that I brought up, some of the stuff that pops up in my YouTube feed just because of the algorithm, the things that are repetitive, sadistic rituals, child spam, whatever that is, right? All of those things go hand in hand with the people who are harassing me, with the people who killed Celeste, with the it all goes hand in hand. The reason no one is getting caught is because of the number of people involved, the number of authorities involved, the number of people in high places and positions that are involved. I can tell you right now that these people tell on themselves with their acquaintances, which is why the Epstein tapes are so important. Not only their acquaintances, their business partners, where they do their business, because the people they do business with have some sort of personal relationships with them. Who else? Where else? As I connect all of these things, I can tell you exactly who it is, but if I tell you exactly who it is, they're going to come at me that much harder, which is why I don't name names. Well, I've named names, but I feel comfortable naming those names because I'm okay with dying. Those are people fictionally, whatever you want to call it, entertainment purposes only. If I've named someone's name on here, I feel like they should be investigated. And they keep trying to say they're going to get me arrested or whatever. It would have to be a setup. And that's where we're at right now. So the videos that popped up in my algorithm, I guess, some of the things they want me to talk about is check fraud, credit card fraud, whatever. The only people I know of that have done anything of that sort are actually people in my family. People in my family who might want to see me taken out because they think they stand to gain something from some kind of inheritance or something. They don't know that there's nothing there. Right? Like, if you understand the cycle of life and how much it costs to live, one of the reasons I don't have kids, because I understand finances, I understand budgets. I've worked in accounting for 20 something years. I may still act like a kid who's immature, but I do realize that life costs money, and the reason I live my life the way I live it is because I understand that. So like $100,000 is not enough money to survive the rest of your life with if you're 30 years old. If you don't understand what the value of $100,000 is, you're always going to be broke. There are people out there, and I used to be one of them, because I just spent all my money and I don't care. I still don't care if there's none tomorrow. Like, I'm still gonna be here. I'll be okay. But with that being said, as you get older, you start realizing how much money it takes to survive, because you start to understand how much money you spent in the past, where you've overspent when you haven't had enough. So you start to realize, well, man, right now, if I'm having trouble getting jobs, I'm not though, but if I was, I'm not because I'm smart, but if I was having trouble getting jobs, which is what they're trying to make it feel like or seem like, I know that the more I continue to talk about the firms that I've been at, there are going to be firms that don't want to hire me. But at the same time, I feel like everything I talk about is important, because I still need to continue to be employed. I need to make sure that any crimes done in my name do not attach themselves to me. I need to make sure that people know that the people in my building have made mention of stealing my identity. And with that, I think they may be referring to stealing my identity and using it for their criminal activities, based off of one of my neighbors talking about, we're waiting for her to get arrested. Well, if you're waiting for me to get arrested and I haven't done anything, does that mean that you've done something in my name? So I'm waiting for me to get arrested too, and I don't know why I would be getting arrested for. And I think this will be really interesting. This is the reason I have to keep posting these videos. Maybe they get paid every time I post a video. To which I don't mind. I don't care if you guys get paid. You guys harassing me, I'm not. Do you think, okay, so let's think about the psychology of it, okay? Because telling me we're waiting for her to get arrested, what do you think that's going to make me do? Do you think it's going to make me start yelling in the hallway because you said it as I was walking by your door, allied universal worker, or your daughter or whoever lives in there? They said it as I was walking by your door. It was intended for me to hear, and this whole time I've been saying, like, the stuff that I hear as far as when I'm at work, it's intended for me to talk about it, because if they really wanted to share a secret about me or say something in private, that it would not be a good idea to do so with their door wide open or even in a room anywhere near where I'm sitting at. These people have every understanding that my hearing is ultra sensitive. So everything that I hear that is designed to make me start going crazy in the head, if I can hear it, I'm not going to go crazy because I understand what you're doing. It is more it makes me more curious when there's silence. If I hear you talking this crazy shit, is zero belief. I don't believe it. I'm not going to repeat it, and I'm not going to feel compelled to react to it, because I can hear it, and this whole thing has been based off of my excellent hearing. So mind control, if you're trying to control someone who cannot help but, it's not eavesdropping. I'm not eavesdropping. I simply hear everything. I can hear bugs walking. So if you're saying anything within earshot and you're whispering, it's like a guaranteed I'm going to hear it. If you talk at a normal voice, I probably won't even notice it. I notice deception, I think, is what it is. So as these people try to deceive me by saying things that if I talk about them on the internet would get me fired, would put me in jail, that keeps me from saying exactly what it is that they said. But I'm going to go down the rabbit hole as to why they said it, why would they want my mind to think about it, and what are the consequences or results of it. So the girl in my building saying we're waiting for her to get arrested, that's very calming because that means nothing to me. That was intentional. You wanted me to hear it. You wanted me to react. And my reaction is, you are a moron. Look up eugenics and then look up moron. That's high level. I'm not insulting you. That's high level. You guys think I'm a moron. If I called you an imbecile or an idiot, I would really be insulting you. What else? So, anything that I hear as far as the crazy shit that I've talked about on my videos, anybody repeating things that I said or talking about items in my apartment, places I've been, things I've done, what I've had for lunch. Anytime I hear you guys out in public say that, in my building say that, as I walk by your door say that, I think small-minded person, feeble-minded. The reason that you're saying that is because they know they can control you. You were told to say that. You have no mind of your own. And you've basically cured you've made up for the trauma you've caused me by continuing to go further after today. The more I see people out on the street, I'll smile with all of my teeth showing, and that's gonna make you have a meltdown like the one lady, because you still can't figure out why I'm smiling. I'm smiling because you've put me in a better position than you. You've made my life better than yours by following me around. Wouldn't you like to have someone follow you around? That would mean that somebody recognizes what you're doing. Recognition. That's all you're trying to get, right? Well, do something recognizable. I don't recognize you aside from the fact that I see you every day, every time I go anywhere. So now, instead of reacting based off of the facial expressions, pantomimes, body language, reactions, words, whatever that the people around me are saying, I'm going to start asking you, hi, what's your name? What do you do for a living? So I can make judgments about you similar to how you're judging me. I think if you want an interaction, I can give it to you. I'm not afraid of people. You didn't make me afraid of people. You didn't make me afraid to talk. I can read your intelligence level now. It's not just your energy. I'm now reading your intelligence level based off of the things that you want me to hear. So please keep it going. You're keeping me alive. The reason I know that this is a big old scandal, right? Like, regardless of whatever crime crew it goes back to the fact that you guys have not started to get violent yet tells me that you really are trying to make this swing in your favor. Because so the mental game, oh my God, I'm going to try to make this make sense to you as to why I'm okay right now. The mental game that you tried to play with me consists of you trying to gaslight me to make me feel dumb. But I have a job that requires a sharp mind. So every day that I don't get fired, you are doing nothing, right? It may even get to the point where I intentionally make mistakes because I know what you guys have planned for me. And if you don't fire me for like a big mistake, and then you're going to fire me for a little mistake, it's kind of like what happened at Cox Castle. It got to the point where I was tired of being played with, and I just made the mistake so that they could terminate me. It wasn't, I won't say that it's an intentional mistake. I just stopped caring about being accurate. Because I got tired of being played with, and I wanted to talk about the harassment. So I keep all of my videos up on YouTube. I know that it's illegal for your employer to search you, but in the event that there is someone who's smarter than that and has like a friend or something do it, you would be able to save your business the stress and trouble of going through this, because this is really happening to me. I cannot go into an interview, right, and tell the person and expect to get the job, and tell the person like, all of Los Angeles is doxing my information, following me around, trying to make me look insane, but my IQ is 130 still, and I can do this better than anybody else. Like, is that how I should do my interviews? I may start trying. I actually have to start interviewing because I need a job. I need benefits. So, my next plan of action for anybody who's wondering, I don't know if I'm going to continue to apply for jobs in law firms. It might be time for a career change. With that's very scary. So I probably still will submit like 10 more resumes to law firms, just for good measure, because I know I can get that job. I don't necessarily want to do accounting anymore. I might be getting tired of numbers. I can do them all day. I can do them in my sleep. And that may be the reason why I would like to make a career change. Trying to find something I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about criminal justice. I'm passionate about computer science, which I think it's so funny that you guys picked me. And then that brings me to the question as to why I was picked. So there's so many unanswered questions still. Does this have anything to do with the CIA, the GATE program, the Illuminati? I don't even want to mention cartels, because I feel like cartels are smarter than that and would really kill me the second that I say a single word. So I don't mention them because I don't want it to be them. And if it were them, I don't think I would still be here talking about this. So I think that it's people with similar power, but not enough criminal education. And I think that's where I'll end it tonight. They may have education about crimes and the law, but they don't know how to carry out a mission. And that's the difference between like a white collar criminal and the people who I don't want to talk about. The people I don't want to talk about will absolutely get away with this. I don't doubt it. The people I'm talking about, they are receiving rewards from people and business. It's I'm just gonna say 3 things, and I won't even say they have anything to do with this video. We'll just go down a rabbit hole of white supremacy, eugenists, Masons, Hollywood elite, Los Angeles, Celeste, Nick Reiner. Go down that rabbit hole and see if you believe any of the things that I have to say that much more. I just want people to know, right, if this is not what they're trying to make it seem like, a mental illness, I am the happiest I've ever been in my life because I feel honored. I feel exceptionally intelligent. And I feel like this is like, what is it? It's like a competition, right? I feel like I've made it to finals or the championship game. And what that means is I've made it past all the levels. So right now, it doesn't even matter if I win or lose because I will be second if I'm not first. And I'm okay with that. I tried really hard. But coming in first is something I really like. So I don't see myself giving up until I get there.